Hi everybody, Chuck and Bob with you as we get you ready for the high school basketball weekend. Really our first full high school basketball weekend of the season. Let's start you off with some non-conference games, and we'll go with Tippecanoe Valley. Young team from last year, had their struggles last season with Chad Patrick as head coach, but they think they're a little more experienced and they'll need it headed down to Harold Weinberg Gymnasium to take on Knox.
He played Chad Patrick played a lot of young guys last year, and you invest in them so that they're better, good IQ on a lot of those folks on his team. But Chad's in his fourth year and a little under 500 last year, but they're hoping for a better return this year.
Nice point guard in Paul Leisure, good big man in Dawson Perkins. Again, needing experience, and they will face an experienced group in the Knox Redskins. Rob Kruger has just about his entire starting five back in this one, and see a lot of the Redskins. That's Gunnar Wagner, their point guard, but the big man on the inside, yes, they get production from Cade Short, but that's the guy, Cole McIntyre, that really could have a breakout year.
He's going to have it's going to be a tough matchup, obviously, for Valley. One of the things about this Knox team, they only graduated one senior off of last year's team. Cade Short can light it up from the outside, from three-point range, and they've got good athletes on the team. You look like a guy like Zach Rose, who was a quarterback on the football team, but loves to play basketball, and this is going to be a deep, talented team.
Valley lost its opener against Argus. Redskins haven't opened up yet, so this will be their debut on Friday night. Warsaw is off to a good start. Matt Moore, the new coach, has the Tigers at 2-0 and playing tough defense and balanced offense, and they'll need all of that when they go down to take on Homestead with not one, but two future Big Ten players.
Yeah, we're going to miss Doug Ogle. Did such a great job at Warsaw. But again, when you talk about Matt Moore, he's in his first year, but 7th overall as a head coach. And did get off to a good start, but he's going to rely a lot on Luke Adamick and Bishop Walters. And, last year these two teams met, and Homestead was a winner 59-47. So Homestead, as you said, Chuck, a lot of talent on it.
Well, last year they had Luke Good. He's going to Illinois. This year they've added Fletcher Lawyer, who's going to Purdue. And then when you throw in a kid named Andrew Leeper, that may be the best trio of shooters in the state of Indiana. So that's all Warsaw has to worry about when they go down to Homestead to take on Chris Johnson's team on Friday night.
Yeah, Chris has only had 427 wins in his illustrious career. And it's just a power-packed team every year. They've got a good program. And you get a move in every once in a while, and they're pretty solid.
How many wins did you say he has?
427.
Well, that puts him second on the family list. We'll talk about the other guy in a little bit. Meanwhile, let's go to the NIC. South Bend, Washington taking on New Prairie. Ryan Vargas' team off to an 0-2 start. It's tough because they're in rebuilding mode right now. You take a look at these Washington highlights we're showing you. None of these guys are back, so it really puts a burden onto people like Marcus Northern, and he's done a nice job so far. He's getting some help, too, from some talented folks.
Yeah, Tyson Grundy is also a sophomore, along with Northern, as you mentioned. They played a lot of minutes last year, so they were able to develop some ability, and Jason Jones is a pretty good defender and a guard in that backcourt. Again, they're looking for younger guys. You're hoping a guy goes home for the summer break at 5'10", comes back at 6'3". You need some of those.
But where do they have to go on Friday night? Well, they have to go over to the Cougar Den and take on Mike Bauer's new Prairie team. And Braden Flagg, we were impressed with him when we saw him against John Glenn last year, but he's got a lot of help, including a kid named Rylan McBride, who had 21 in their opening win and overtime triumph over Plymouth. So New Prairie's got some high hopes over there in Cougar Country.
They do, and they've got, again, some good athletes that have come over from the football squad. And I think you're excited about is that Mike Bauer has done a nice job there, only in his second year coming up, but they're buying into what he's doing there. And they're 13-13 last year. I would expect them to be over that 500 mark this year.
1-0, hoping to go to 2-0 Friday night if they can knock off the Panthers. We've got two clashes of the unbeatens in the NIC this Friday. Let's start off over at Demetrius Jackson Court, where Riley will come a-calling on Marion. And when you talk Riley basketball, you talk number 0, Blake Wesley. The Notre Dame recruit is off to a great start this year, averaging 32 points a game, but Jackson Copley has given him some help.
And he did last year as well. Copley's outstanding. Tyson Lee is a good athlete. They've got a move-in, a young man named Isaiah Robinson, who should help as well. But it can't be all about Blake Wesley. I know he can score 30-plus points a game. He's earned that scholarship to Notre Dame, but it's team ball and team defense, and Riley's going to have to develop that.
Well, and team defense is something that Marion plays oh so well under Rob Berger, and they did it again on Tuesday night in their win over Goshen. Kaleo Kakalea, part of a balanced offense for this Marion team. You know, in the past they've had Demetrius Jackson, they've had Devin Kennedy and Jaden Ivey and Jerry Bracey. They have these big scores. That wasn't the case on Tuesday night. Nobody had more than 16, 3 guys in double figures.
And you mentioned Kaleo Kakalea and I think Mitch Menning. They're going to be the rebounding strength in there. Kakalea had a great game last year against Penn. Kind of a surprise when he got in there. They've got a move in, speaking of Penn High School, Richard Brooks, who's going to be able to play for Rob Berger this year. And man, when you look at Declan Sullivan and his basketball IQ is going to be really important for Marion this year.
Well, and Cairo Franklin had 11 on Tuesday night against Goshen, so don't forget about him. Riley 2-0, Marion 1-0. They meet on Friday night, but we're going to be over at Hadaway Shack. 2 teams that may be the best teams in the NIC, although Riley and Marion will certainly have something to say in the argument. But you've got number 19 St. Joe visiting number 15 Adams. Let's start with Mark Johnson's Indians. They went 17-6 last year. They have a fellow you may have heard of. His name's J.R. Konechny. He, too, is going to the University of Notre Dame next year, but he is not the only part of this show.
No, and you know, one of the things about his development, Chuck, is that he's been able to stay at the guard. He's an outside shooter. He can rebound. He can go to the basket, but you know, he's going to play at 6'7". You're an average-sized guard in NCAA. So he's been able to stay there, but doing so many things, and he's a great team guy. I mean, just love him in practice, encouraging the other guys. But if he wasn't on this roster, they'd still be very good, Chuck. They've got some outstanding size, and Will Terry and Jack Fuda, and Cole Hatkovich is a heady point guard, and the Odell brothers. Write that name down because it's a good name in Indiana basketball anyway, but I think these guys are going to be very helpful.
All right, so that's St. Joe. But Adams, there's no need for name tags on this Adams team. They bring back 97% of their offense from last year. Lynn King can dial up the 3. They can go inside with Braden Saxton. They have, who Mark Johnson told me this week, maybe the best point guard in the state of Indiana, and Tavon Columbus. 17 points, 12 assists on Tuesday night against Bowman Academy. We saw him in person there as advertised.
Yeah, Quintez is an outstanding athlete. He really is. And they got a nice group. They mesh together. Chad Johnson is running the old LaSalle offense, controlled chaos. They go to the basket hard. They rebound and put it back hard. And, you know, if they don't know exactly what they're doing, then defense can't line up and stop him either. But Chad's a veteran, 19 years, and he's the most experienced. Oh, wait a minute, he's not. The most experienced coach in this game because Mark Johnson is in his 36th year.
And has more wins than his brother, which he is wont to tell you.
And he's better looking. He's wont to tell you that, too.
Well, yes, and whether he's true about the second statement or not, I'll leave that up. And, you know, when we're talking about Adams, too, you don't want to leave out Chuck Worsham and Sidney Jeffries. I mean, there's talent all over the floor on Friday night. I can't remember an opener with this much hype behind it.
No, one of the great things about doing this game, too, is they're going to have limited attendance at this game. It really is a blessing for us to be able to do these games so more people can see them. And obviously, we're hoping that we get through all these difficult times and fans can come back to the games. But we're just blessed to have a chance to do a game like this. And the cooperation from both coaches and both athletic directors has been terrific.
And you say, well, how can we see it? Well, we told you right there at the bottom of the screen. You either Facebook, YouTube, or the IHSA Champions Network right around 7:30. And, of course, the way you've done it for 31 seasons now on TV-46, Friday night at 11, Saturday morning at 9. For my partner, Bob Nagle, Chuck Freeby, thanks for joining us on social media.